McDermott is the witty and wise comedian you probably know best from his time fronting this satirical panel program.
Welcome, Good News Week, and the big news? A new global poll has found Australia thinks the world of itself, but the world thinks we're a bit ordinary when it comes to things like business, the environment and culture. Australia? Uncultured? Pig's arse, dickhead!
Speaking of cultured, check out this familiar face.
Tonight, one of Melbourne's hottest new comedians beat her like a bat out of hell yeah!
After studying at the Canberra School of Art, Paul rose to fame as a member of the Doug Anthony All-Stars.
Come on, people, this isn't a pantomime. Oh, yes, it is!
Since then, he's worked non-stop and racked up a stack of creative credits, including his newest project, picture book, Ghostbear.
And that's the good news.
And Paul McDermott joins us now. Paul, it's a picture book. We've all read it today and we love it. It feels like it's not just a kid's book.
Oh, it's for parents and carers, anyone that takes care of children. I think will get something out of it. It's got a bit of a bigger message there within the illustrations and the ideas of the book. So it's essentially about loss and longing and a bit of a redemptive tale as well. But it touches lightly on climate change, environmental damage, and how we're affecting the world of the animals around us.
I mean, the book is a little on the darker side, as you were suggesting, about those themes of climate change and love and loss and darkness. Where did that sort of concept come from?
Oh, it was because there were two incidents that happened. One was the polar bear, Knut, died at the age of 4 in the Berlin Zoo, and there was another incident where a scientist saw a polar bear on an ice floe, and about 2007, 2008, he was attacked savagely by the members of the conservative press at the time. And those two ideas sort of coalesced in my head, and Ghostbear emerged.
A little bit different from Clifford the Big Red Dog then.
Slightly, yeah. Slightly.
Hey, Paul, can
Same audience, hopefully.
Yeah. Can I say congratulations on the book? And that's not a showbiz congratulations that I have to say as part of the interview. I really mean it. I got goosebumps getting to the end of this book. And it just made me recall that it feels like stuff that looks like it's for kids has just been very up and saccharine, and it's always tied in a bow. And it's been like that for a very long time. We don't have melancholy, sort of more serious and darker stories anymore. Why do you think that is?
I'm not quite sure why we don't have them as much. I'm not going to blame the Wiggles specifically. They had a hand in it.
Go on, which one?
The pastelisation of children's literature that happened over many years. But as a child, I loved very savage Grimm's fairy tales and stories that had dark, underlying stories to them, and found them really profoundly moving as a child. So I think that's the area that I'm sort of investigating. But hopefully it's a redemptive tale as well, and that and children can see the joy and the wonder of the natural world through it.
Paul, so often we see comedians writing kids' books, but then it's illustrated by someone else. I'm assuming because there's no other name on the front cover, you're a double threat in this, and these illustrations are all yours as well?
Oh, no, I hired it out to a small firm in India. Very deeply use children generally, so you don't pay much. They have tiny little hands, so they can do all the fine work on the paintings.
That's funny because I've written a kid's book about that.
I will read it.
Paul, as host of Good News Week, do you still follow the news now, particularly with what's going on in the world, like you used to?
I'm a rabid follower of the news at the moment, and I wish there was an outlet for me apart from my sort of own space. But it's insane what's happening around the world at the moment. I don't think anyone could have conceived of it 4 or 5 years ago. This would be the space we would be in at this point in time. And it's phenomenal to see what we assumed were the foundations of our democracies being so fragile.
I was wondering about Good News Week because it was a lot of fun and a lot of the news on it was very, very silly. Would a show like that even be possible now? Or is the news just too overwhelming and too dark?
I think that the news is quite extraordinary. I think there'll always be a place for panel shows like Good News Week because they allow people to express ideas about whatever is happening, no matter how sort of bizarre those ideas are. And certainly I think people need to hear people's reactions to what is going on in the press at the moment, and globally in politics, because we're in a very peculiar period of time, and to hear people make jokes about it, treat it lightly, would be a great thing, I think.
Well, Paul's book, Ghostbear, is available now. It is really beautiful to read. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul.
It's so beautiful. Thank you very much for having me, everyone.
I feel like we have to use that in our promo.
We totally do.